Mania versus impulsivity. Understanding bipolar versus BPD behaviors. You're not crazy, but it might feel like the world thinks you are. Maybe you've been called impulsive, out of control, even dangerous. Maybe someone said it was bipolar, or maybe borderline. Maybe you're not even sure what that means anymore. This confusion isn't just frustrating, it can be dangerous. Misunderstanding these disorders can lead to the wrong treatment, more suffering, and a deeper sense of isolation. Mania and impulsivity can look eerily alike from the outside, but underneath, they come from entirely different worlds. Let's unpack the difference between bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder, why it matters, and why knowing the difference could save a life. Bipolar affective disorder, often called BPD, and borderline personality disorder, BPD, are frequently misunderstood, misdiagnosed, and mistakenly interchanged. Why? Because both can include intense emotional reactions, risky behaviors, irritability, and relationship chaos. But the roots and rhythms of these behaviors are very different. Impulsivity in BPD versus mania in bipolar disorder. Is it impulsivity or is it mania? They can both lead to risky decisions, emotional storms, and chaos. But the cause and the treatment are completely different. Let's break it down. Impulsivity in BPD tends to be a reaction to emotional pain, rejection, or abandonment. It's often rapid, situational, and triggered by interpersonal stress. Think spending sprees after a fight, substance use after feeling judged, or self-harm after feeling abandoned. It's fast, it's painful, and it's usually about relationships. Mania and bipolar disorder, on the other hand, is a mood episode. It's not just a reaction, it's a state that builds over days. Mania is marked by elevated or irritable mood, racing thoughts, decreased need for sleep, inflated self-esteem, and risky goal-directed behaviors. It can last for a week or more and doesn't always have an obvious trigger. People feel invincible, full of ideas, hardly sleep, and can spiral into reckless behavior. It's not a reaction, it's an episode. Irritability versus poor anger management. Here's another key point. Irritability in bipolar disorder often comes from overstimulation during manic states. It's internal, restless, edgy, driven by a storm inside. Mania unfolds slowly and sticks around. This difference in time is one of the biggest clues for diagnosis. In BPD, what looks like irritability might be poor anger management. It's triggered by emotional dysregulation, fear of abandonment, or invalidation. BPD impulsivity flares and fades quickly, from minutes to hours. It's more relational and reactive. One is internal overdrive. The other is emotional survival. Emotional triggers. BPD behaviors are usually triggered by something emotional, a fight, a fear, a loss. Mania doesn't need a trigger. It can start with no warning at all. Genetics. Nature's influence. Bipolar disorder has a strong genetic component. If a first-degree relative has BPD, your risk significantly increases. BPD also has genetic links, but environment, trauma, and attachment disruptions play a more prominent role. In other words, you may be born with a vulnerability to BPD, but BPD often develops as a response to the world around you. The risk factor. Mania might lead to reckless driving, overspending, or delusions. BPD impulsivity might lead to self-harm, unsafe sex, or substance use. The risks are real, but they're rooted in different causes. The risk of misdiagnosis. When someone with BPD is misdiagnosed as bipolar, they might be given mood stabilizers or antipsychotics, which don't address the core issue, emotional regulation and relational trauma. Likewise, if someone with bipolar is treated with therapy alone, without medication, they may experience dangerous mood episodes, even psychosis. The wrong treatment can increase the risk of injury, overdose, hospitalization, or suicide. The path to diagnostic clarity? Getting a clear diagnosis takes time, observation, and collaboration with a skilled clinician. It involves looking at symptom timelines, triggers, mood cycles, medical history, family history. Bipolar disorder follows cyclical patterns, mania, depression, and sometimes mixed states. BPD symptoms are often persistent and relational. Treatment modalities. What works and why? Bipolar disorder. Medications are essential. Mood stabilizers, antipsychotics, and sometimes antidepressants are the first line. Therapy is supportive, helping with insight, sleep hygiene, medication adherence, and relapse prevention. Borderline personality disorder. Dialectical behavior therapy (DBT) is the gold standard. It teaches skills like emotional regulation, distress tolerance, and interpersonal effectiveness. Medications may be used short-term, but they are not the core treatment. Treatment non-compliance. Why it happens. People stop treatment for many reasons. Side effects, feeling better, stigma, misunderstanding the need for lifelong management. But non-compliance, especially with bipolar disorder, can lead to dangerous relapses. For BPD, skipping therapy can mean getting stuck in cycles of crisis without support or growth. Injury by misadventure. Both disorders carry risks of harmful behaviors, but for different reasons. Bipolar, risk comes from mania, grandiosity, poor judgment, risky sex, reckless spending, and even psychosis. BPD risk often stems from impulsivity in response to emotional pain, like self-injury, unsafe relationships, or substance use. Know the difference. Change the outcome. Understanding the difference between bipolar and BPD is more than academic. It affects how we respond, how we support, how we heal. Whether you're living with one of these disorders or supporting someone who is, education is the first step toward compassion, clarity, and change. Knowing the difference between mania and impulsivity can change outcomes. It leads to better care, less shame, and more compassion for others and yourself. This is the Resilience Echo, bringing calm, clarity, and compassion to mental health. If this helped, share it. Because the more we understand, the less we judge, and the more we heal. If you found this video helpful, then please subscribe to my channel for more informative videos relating to resilience and mental health. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.